if you're in an organization that is small and doesn't have a lot of opportunities, you may, from your leadership, as you connect with peers in your industry, find out, oh, this is a great company and they need somebody, and I see that you're prepared for this. You have a skill in this. And so I say to my peer and friend in another business, hey, I've got somebody that I think would be really good for you, that would help you. Well, again, it's sacrificial leadership that you're displaying there.
Yeah.
I believe in you. I'm going to promote you, even if it means outside of my own organization, because I want what's best for you.
Yeah. Hey friends, welcome back to this week's episode of Between the Lanes, and we're so glad that you are here. Thanks for tuning in. As you can see with what we do, whether it's our guests or the topics we have, we just flow in and out of the different lanes of your life, whether it's as the leader in the workplace, a leader in the home, parenting, or just being a good contributor in what you do. I hope you find that what we're talking about will really encourage you and inspire you to be a better leader. That's our goal. So, Dad, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about today's topic. I think it's going to really impact people and have an impact in the workplace as well.
Yeah. So thinking about a way to sort of tee it up, there's the whole thing of like, hey, what are the red flags in a person, or what's a beige flag, and all these flags. So if I were to sort of like say, the negative side of it, which I want to talk on the positive, but the negative side is, what are the red flags of a toxic leader? Okay, so, but I don't really want to focus on the red flags. I want to focus on what's going to make you a great leader in this way, how you value people. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, the true treasures that God talks about treasures being are people. And so when you think about ultimately the goal of a leader is to take people from where they are to wherever your vision is, or from here to there, right? That's what a leader is doing. And so the question is, as a leader, the journey from here to there, what's that experience like for your team? What's that experience like for the people you are leading? And I think about, there's the old thing, a leader who doesn't have anybody follow them, just on a walk. And I wonder how many leaders, though they may not be on a walk because people have been forced to follow them, whether because they work for them or whatever, but the leader is still just looking straight ahead, focused on where they're going, with no concern of the wake. If I take it away from a walk now to like a boat journey, right? The boat's going this way, but behind me is just a wake of people, heads bobbing here and there, of sort of the turmoil that I've created as a leader. That's the red flag. So the positive side of what we want to talk about is, what does it look like to value people? So Dad, you're a great pastor. You're a great valuer of people. You've done that obviously in raising us as kids. I've seen that in how you pastor and lead people. I think of 4 different ways that we speak value into people, and I want to toss the first one out to you.
Okay.
Get your comment on it. I think one of the ways that we value people is through praise. What we say to encourage. Now look, not everybody is like a verbal, I require verbal affirmations, So all of these may not hit on where you are or what speaks to you, but what you have to remember as a leader, you need to be able to speak the language of other people, not just the language that works for you. So praise is one of the first ways that we value people. Talk about what that looks like to you.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give a little context for what I say.
Perfect.
We've talked about this before, but I just want to say that part of valuing people is understanding the difference between transactional and relational leadership.
Yeah.
If you are relating to people only in the context of, I have a relationship with you because we have a mutual transaction together. You're providing a service, you're developing something within our organization, then I only care about you to the extent that you take care of the transaction that takes place. There's a higher issue that's involved here, and that's the relational dynamic. I think one of the things we have, the statements we've made, and I would propose that any organization could adopt this, and that is, people are more important than issues. If you really believe that, well, then you view people in the context of the compassionate needs that are a part of their life, not just what they do in your organization, but you talk to them or know or have some awareness of what's going on in their family, what's going on with their kids, what just happened to them this past week. Oh, you were involved in a car accident. How are you doing? Or you just got released from the hospital.
You just got in a car accident. That was just a funny example, I guess.
I mean, you're engaged with them because you care about them.
Right.
And then maybe people would look at me who know me and they say, oh, your number one strength finder is positivity. And so when I relate to people, I can find good in every person. I can find something to say, hey, I know I have some friends that they kiddingly would say, I encourage people. I tell them, yeah, you don't suck as much as you used to on that.
Yeah.
No, that's not kind.
No, that's not. That really didn't qualify as praise. I'm sorry.
No. So part of praising is finding something good to say about the person that you really care about.
No.
Hey, I noticed the way that you responded to this, or if you're in a sales organization, hey, I saw your sales numbers this past month. Way to go! You knocked it out of the park. You're finding something to compliment them on.
Yeah.
Again, appropriate statement, not inappropriate. But hey, I noticed you got a new shirt. It's a great looking color on you. Or I mean,
yeah, that qualifies as praise.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the power of life and death is in the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I know there's a number of people who go, verbal affirmation isn't really the thing for me. I don't require that, blah, blah, blah. But just remember, as a leader, you've got to think outside of yourself, and that the people who you lead in some way. Now, again, even the people you lead, there may be people who are like, I don't get, my tank isn't topped up by verbal praise. That may be true, but everybody wants to hear some type of affirmation. So it may not be the main thing for them. There may be other ways, and we'll talk about some of those ways that value them. But I think the biblical principle, and so whether you think it or not, whether you agree with it or not, or whether it speaks to you or not, here's the truth, that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So the words we say, what we speak over our business, what we speak over our employees, will do something actually that's more supernatural. It's more spiritual than you even know, because you're speaking it. I'm not talking about speaking something into existence and that dynamic of like, it doesn't exist, so I just keep talking about it and I speak it and it comes to be. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about something that's on the inward side of every person. And it's the yearning to be seen. It's the yearning to be known and recognized. And so whenever I think about praise, I think that one of the things that can really set you back when you're trying to give praise is when it's disingenuous, it's inauthentic, unauthentic. I don't know if it's in or un. It's not authentic, and you can sense that. And the way that you sense it is if I'm just giving generalities.
Yeah.
I'm praising, but I'm not really hitting on something specific to you. And so I think one of the key things when you're giving verbal praise in the recognition is something that's very specific, even time sensitive. I recognize, hey, you did this. I saw that on Thursday. I noticed something. And I saw that you did that. When you've gotten specific, not just to what you're praising, but you're getting specific that on this day, at this time is what I saw. And so what that says is I've gotten outside of just my world or seen your work as transactional. And I'm now seeing work through the lens of you as a person. I see you, I know what you're doing, I see how you did it, and so now I want to recognize that through the praise that I give you.
Yeah, maybe another word to add into this is appreciation.
Yeah, it's a good word.
I'm not just praising you for some conceptual idea, but I'm really expressing appreciation. You bring something to the table which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
A strength, a quality of your life.
And what you may find when you begin to speak life. So let me just give an example that I've got somebody who really isn't cutting it, or I don't think they're doing a great job. If you step back and actually go, are you finding the ways to praise whatever work they are doing that's good? Now, I'm not saying you only praise and you cover over issues of correction or development that need to happen in people. Not saying that at all. That needs to be addressed, very specifically addressed. In the same way that we praise with specifics and time horizons, we need to do the same thing when we're bringing correction or training or development in someone who isn't cutting it. Got to put that same thing here specifically where you're not cutting it. Here specifically, I noticed this on this day, specifics. So that absolutely needs to happen. But on the other side, it may be that, again, to the point of the spiritual side of life and death being in our tongue, I may be able to draw something out of a person by recognizing something as small as it may seem to me. Or you're really struggling. I'm trying really hard to find the one thing I can praise about this person. But as you do that, what if it's water to their soul? And suddenly a seed that is in there that hasn't been watered in a long time suddenly begins to bear a fruit that is only able to happen because you've poured the water on the soil of their heart that is praise and affirmation and appreciation for them. And now you begin to see something blossom and develop that you're shocked. And really, all that's happened is that you've recognized something and given some verbal praise that allows life to spring forth.
Yeah, if the only time you offer praise is as an intro to the correction that you make, it's going to come across as disingenuous.
Yeah.
I think that being honest with a person is what really matters.
Yeah.
You can actually, you think of praise. What praise does is reflects care. I care about you.
Yeah.
I see you in the context of the workplace. Well, seeing them is equally true when you say, "Hey, I know you're struggling.
Right.
I see you struggling in this area, and I want to help.
Yeah.
What do you need? How can I help you? Let's talk about it."
Yep.
And that says as much about care as
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so praise is one way we can value people. The second one I want to throw out there is we value through promotion. Okay, now some of this I'm just trying to keep with some alliteration, so the P. But another way of thinking about promotion are opportunities, development.
Yep.
So not just promotion in the terms of, hey, I got him a new job, but just the opportunities that spring forth. And I think about what's built into my ability as a leader to look to promote someone. Well, it requires in me, if I'm going to promote somebody, it requires a confidence in me that I'm not insecure, that as I promote and develop someone else, I'm now raising them up. I'm now giving them opportunities that maybe even require letting go of some things from me. And as I let go of some of those things, I now see it raise up in someone else. And if I'm not confident, then them raising up, them being promoted, suddenly hits on some insecurities.
Yeah.
And my inability to conquer those insecurities will stop me from promoting people, which ultimately devalues people. I think resident inside of people are gifts and talents waiting to be unlocked. And part of the goal of a leader is to figure out how to unlock those things that are resident inside of them that haven't been nurtured or maybe developed or even maybe called out or seen by somebody. And so whenever I give them the opportunity for promotion, and again, don't think of that as a job and just think of maybe additional responsibilities or just opportunities to do something new. That's promotion. And in doing that promotion, I am now unlocking something in them that could be the key to their purpose and sort of a long-term success in their life.
Yeah, I think giving them an opportunity. If as an employer we say, you know what, I've noticed you have certain abilities that I want to develop a pathway for you to fulfill your gifting
Yep.
in this place. One of the things that I've tried to do, even before it gets to this place, but when somebody comes and says, "Hey, I'm tendering my resignation," one of my first questions is, why? What? And if they tell me, "Oh, I have this great opportunity, I can do such and such and do so and so," my thought, and sometimes my question is, could you not do that here?
Mm-hmm.
It says, I have not been engaged enough in promoting you
Yeah.
in this place to make you go, oh, there's a pathway here.
Yeah.
There's a future for me here.
Yeah.
And that's really what people, I think, are looking for.
Yeah, 100%. And I think in the same way as we talked about praise, when I praise someone, I'm showing that I see them and I know them and I understand how they work and what their contribution looks like. The same thing happens in promotion. If I'm a leader and I'm looking only to the future and where we're going, and I'm not taking a moment to turn around and look at my team to recognize, hey, so and so, man, I wonder if I gave them this, how they might do. And so what is required is for me to actually have some margin in my own life that as a leader, I'm actually spending time looking at my team. How can I value people that I'm not really spending time actually assessing and actually watching their work and seeing it, again, beyond the transactional nature of it. But, okay, I see them. Man, the way they did that, man, there's a beauty they bring to their work, or there's a technical expertise and approach they're bringing to their work, and I'm seeing that. And now, how that looks for me to promote them, again, without it, you may go, I don't have another job. How can I promote them? No, give them a new project. Give them a little side thing that goes, hey, I noticed this about you. Now you're getting into the praise side of it as well. I noticed you did this. It seemed like you did really well, or you have an interest in this, or man, I even noticed on the side you do such and such, in life, in your community. I wonder if you did this, if it would tap into that. And that just communicates so much value to people. That says, one, I see that in you. Two, I want to give you an opportunity to do something a little bit more. And man, what can happen on the other side of that could be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and here's another aspect of promotion. When you're having the internal conversations about how to fill a certain job or position, and you have somebody working underneath you, and you go, hey, have you thought about so-and-so for that job? You're sacrificing something that may be important to you, create a hole in your area of the organization, but you are promoting someone within the organization. And I think that's another aspect. When people know, oh, you're looking out for me.
Yeah.
You believe in me, and you're going to offer me, promote me within the context of the organization. That means a huge amount to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was having a conversation one day with my dad. My dad, in the business that he ended up being an owner in, he started out of college in the warehouse, then went to the city sales desk, then went to a sales territory, and worked his way up in management, ultimately to own the company. And before he owned the company, was when he was in a management position, he had a man that he always described as his mentor. Ned Reynolds was his name. And my dad didn't do anything in his work career without talking to Ned about, what do you think about this, Ned? I remember a couple of times my dad, he looked at opportunities to buy a business, which would have meant that he would leave the business that he had been working in, and he would run it by Ned. And one time I asked my dad, why have you never left just to buy your own? This was before he and some partners bought the business that he was in. Why haven't you left? And he said, because when I talked to Ned, he told me there's future where I'm at. And I believed him. I trusted in him, trusted him to the point that I would be willing to give up what I thought might be an opportunity in order to stay true, and knowing that he's out for me. Yeah. He's going to promote me in the process of it. And ultimately, when my dad ended up buying the company, Ned was one of his main investors. And so having somebody that believes in you, promotes you, someone that will guide you, someone that you trust enough to say, okay, I really want to do this, but if I'll trust in you is a really important thing.
Yeah, yeah. I like you're coming from an angle about promotion that's a little different, but it's almost about someone who either is whether a mentor or a boss in your own life, or somebody that you're doing this for, that's beyond just the praise verbally. It's actually looking for ways to give you opportunities, looking out for your own best interest or looking for your good.
Yep.
And I think that's a great point. That I think either in an organization you looking and going, do I have that here? Is anybody here looking out for me? And boy, you don't want to go too far down that road because it's all about me. Is anyone looking out for me? And I actually think complete the opposite. I think so many times our development is actually on us to develop. It's not on someone else to be doing the development. But let's take a moment and just say, from a leadership standpoint, am I looking to promote and give people an opportunity? I think that's a great point. And then as a person who's looking at your organization or hoping you're having that opportunity, do you have that person who's looking to promote you?
Yeah, my dad had told me another Ned story that really impacted me. He was the merchandise manager of his company, so he was in an executive level position. And one day the sales manager came to him and said, "Hey, let's go to the horse races." In Nebraska, where I grew up, Omaha, there was a racetrack. And so my dad goes in to tell his mentor, his boss, "Hey, we're going to go make some sales calls this afternoon. I'll be back later." And his mentor says, "Okay, see you later." Well, they weren't making sales calls. They were going to the racetrack to race. And they were in a company vehicle when they went to the racetrack. So they spend a couple hours at the racetrack, and when they're leaving, they're involved in an accident in the company vehicle. So my dad has to go back and tell his mentor, his boss, his friend, "I wasn't where I told you I'd be. I wasn't doing what I told you I would be doing." And my dad told me that Ned's response was, "Jim, why didn't you tell me what you were doing? I know you work hard. You think I would have said, no, you can't do that? I would have released you to go, and because I would have released you to go, I then could cover what happened in the accident, but now you've created a problem that I'll probably be able to fix." My dad told it in a way that said, "I learned a valuable lesson that day. Always be truthful in what you're doing, and you'll find covering for all of your activities." It was another aspect maybe of, he knew Ned would promote him. He believed in him, represent him, even in trouble.
I was thinking about the different, organizations that might exist. And again, people who are watching, because you might be in an organization where there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of ability to climb the corporate ladder, if you will. Or you may be in an organization that's whether it's because of the mission, could be a ministry, could be a church. That's, in other words, there's not massive growth and there's climbing the ladder kind of thing. I still want to encourage leaders to go, because you may go, so I can't be promoting people all the time. I don't have that. But what you can do is just give new opportunities. And that might look like such a small thing to give someone to do. But in that, again, the whole point of this is, how do I value people? I value people in the way of promotion by giving some opportunities to do something new, to either gain a new skill or work out a new skill that they seem to already exhibit. Giving them that opportunity is part of promotion.
Can I say one thing there? I think if you're in an organization that is small and doesn't have a lot of opportunities, you may, from your leadership, as you connect with peers in your industry, find out, oh, this is a great company and they need somebody, and I see you're prepared for this. You have a skill in this. And so I say to my peer and friend in another business, "Hey, I've got somebody that I think would be really good for you, that would help you." Well, again, it's sacrificial leadership that
Yeah.
you're displaying there.
Yeah.
I believe in you. I'm going to promote you, even if it means outside of my own organization, because I want what's best for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Okay, the third one, and I'm staying with the alliteration. We did praise, promote. The third one is pay. And now everyone's ears may perk up now. Pay. Whoa. Okay, let's talk about that. And again, there's different ways. I want to stay with the alliteration. That's why I say pay. But let's broaden it even to talk about how do I reward people.
Yeah.
But that has a very real and tangible way of what that reward looks like. And I think about in different organizations. Again, people tuning in may be in a corporate job that pay is a very easy way to compensate folks.
Mm-hmm.
Others, it may be everything you're doing to scrap by just to pay people, at all. So I recognize what I'm going here is it's going to hit differently depending on what your situation is. But I think it's important to recognize the issue of pay, even whenever, so we come from a church world. Ministry has been in our background. But I've never hung that over someone as a way to saying, so therefore, pay shouldn't matter to you. It should just be only the calling.
Yeah.
You don't need to think about the effect on your family, or you don't need to think about that. No, I think in everybody's life, what they're compensated for and what they do is important. Now, it's not to say every job is equal in terms of compensation and all of that is the same, or that in some ways, when we do take a job, maybe for a calling, there is a bit of a sacrifice that's there. I'm saying all of that is present, but recognizing that a way that we value people is in pay. So I know in some organizations that's completely for profit, and you may be an owner, and this may be a challenging point to you, that you have a lot of turnover, and you're going, I don't know why people just don't stay around. Mm-hmm. Might I offer you to investigate your pay structure? How well are you paying and compensating people? You may go, well, the bottom line is the most important thing to me, and so I've got to squeeze people a little bit more, and I'm willing to have the turnover to support my bottom line. You're actually the kind of person I'm wanting to challenge in this area, to say a way of that you're not valuing people.
Yeah.
And so to be able to pay appropriately, one of the statements that is really a value in me when it comes to organizations that I want to be a part of or ways that I want to contribute. And that is, I want organizations to be an employer of choice. Meaning, what's that statement mean? That if I have options across the board for where I can work and what I can do, that I would choose to be at this place for all of the reasons. Well, I think an aspect of what that reason is pay. Yeah. And so it may not be like you're at the top of the line and everyone, all your competitors or whatever are paying less than you and you're at the top. No, it may not mean that, but it does mean that pay is at least a factor when drawing talent, appealing to people, and keeping employees around. You've recognized that how I compensate is important.
Yeah, and it's not just income, it's benefits. Mm-hmm. It's what you offer in benefits, or it might be a bonus structure, or at least an acknowledgement that if you really hit it out of the park, and I'm going to notice, and if I notice, I'm going to compensate you in some way.
Yeah.
Additional time off, a bonus,
yep.
or a pay increase.
Yeah, or even a benefits package. Again,
yeah.
As we're talking, I was sitting there thinking, this talk is not about how you even manage people in an organization. This is a talk about how you value people.
Yeah.
And so valuing people, I guarantee, again, in the same way that some people aren't motivated by praise, I guarantee you a little bit of affirmation is always good. Same way, some people aren't necessarily motivated by money, but I promise you, they'll find a way for it to be important to them. The financial aspect will be a dynamic that can speak value in some form or fashion to people. And so, yeah, I think about that too. I think about all the different ways of what that can look like, and whether it be the benefits that are offered or so forth. And here's what that may look like to a go-getter leader. Again, you're focused forward. I want to go. We got to do this. And so you sacrifice on a benefits package. And you go, well, we can't afford that. Why can't you afford it? Well, because we've got 2 other people we need to hire in sales positions to be able to go do that. And so the cost of those 2 employees are kind of eating up what you could do in benefits. maybe an option for you would be to slow down in your other hiring to really consider your overall personnel package and go, you know what, to value the people I have here, or even the future people I want to draw here, I'm going to increase what we do in terms of benefits, because I recognize healthcare, time off, sick pay, all those things are really important to people. They matter to families. And so how we factor that in and budget for those things, the budgeting for it is in the preparation for growth that actually then factors fully into the pay and the overall compensation. So how you plan and prepare to do that can make it a little, it's just another way of looking at it, but it's a way that it can happen that maybe today you don't see how it can happen.
Yeah, there's a variety of things that can be done. There's so much information today that would be available if your business is large enough to have an HR department. Your HR department can go out and compare job categories in the marketplace to say, this is the going rate for someone with these responsibilities, and give you a heads up. Wow, we're way below market here.
Yeah.
And if you want quality people and you want to keep quality people,
Yeah.
you're going to have to pay at least something in the market. There are some adjustments for the work environment that they have, or the benefits package they get, or the flexibility of work schedule. Those play into it, but you got to be in the ballpark if you're going to attract the
Yeah, and again, if you're going to value them, I'm thinking of a very specific person right now who has, I know, I'm very close to them, have not gotten a pay increase in 10 years. They've done the same job 10 years. Now, a couple of ways you can look at that. That person is still at that job, so they haven't left, and could be a number of reasons for that. But what it also says is that the employer has gone, well, this is very clearly a transactional relationship. Mm-hmm. I see that job worth that amount, and I really don't care how that affects you. I'm not increasing your pay or any of that kind of stuff. And that's just even basic. I'm not talking about for even merit. I'm just talking about cost of living, what's happened over time. So I just want to point to a person as I'm saying these things. You go, well, how would I know if I'm even doing good at pay? I'm small enough. I don't have an HR department. Okay, well, here's some key things to know. Is pay on your radar? Do you have regular performance reviews that would trigger an increase, whether based on merit or just based on cost of living? Okay. 2, if you look at your employees and you go, I haven't given pay increases in a number of years, maybe that's gotten away from you. Maybe pay isn't as important as you might have thought. If you look at your overall compensation package and you're not competitive, there's some things that you don't offer. It may be that for any number of reasons, you've gotten a little bit ahead of yourself. And if you maybe slow down just a little bit, add a little value to the pay packages that you offer, now you're truly valuing the people, and it's beyond the transactional relationship. It's really valuing them.
Yeah, and what you were saying there made me think of one other thing, and that is your evaluation of people more objective than it is subjective? I think one of the things that frustrates people is when they feel that they've really kicked it. They've really hit it out of the park, and somebody around them gets recognized, gets a bonus, gets a pay increase because the boss likes them more.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's nothing more frustrating than demotivating for people, and certainly devaluing.
Yes.
Okay, fourth and final thing about valuing people. So we talked about praise, talked about promotion, we talked about pay. The fourth one is it's not quite the alliteration, but it's close, and it's empower. Still got the P in there, empower. How do you value people? You empower. Talk about your perspective about empowering.
Yeah, I love an empowering environment, and I think that there's some practical, tangible things that are a part of empowering. A specific job description is important. If you don't have job description, you need a clearly defined, this is what's expected of you in that job.
Yeah.
And then as a part of that, a clear, and for this, here's your authority in the job. Here's what you can do and can't do. Here, that can be defined as a part of the job description, but it needs to be lined out so I know, okay, this is this is the boundary, the box that I can play in. The third thing is something really good.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. While you're thinking of it,
Okay.
let me throw this in there. I think one of the ways, again, if I go back to using the negative, what's a red flag in this area of a toxic leader? It's someone who's micromanaging. So you can know you're not empowering if you're micromanaging. Well, again, sometimes when you deal with something we don't really see ourselves, we don't really know. How do you know if you're a micromanaging leader? I guarantee you in some way your people are trying to tell you. You can probably get some feedback if you ask that question, am I micromanaging? You might be surprised. And maybe even ask people, maybe they have a hard time responding, say, hey, on an empowering scale, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being super micromanaging, 5 being very empowering, where am I in your eyes? Boy, that invites the kind of conversation that is enlightening to you.
Yeah.
Certainly makes the people feel empowered, makes them feel like, hey, you're valuing my feedback. But only do that if you really want to know. Because when you get it, the question is going to be, what do you do with that feedback? Do I take that information and go, okay, well, if my goal is to be a more empowering leader and not so micromanaging, but when I ask the question, man, people will rate me at a 1 and a 2, meaning I'm very micromanaging. I want to take corrective action so that I am more empowering. Getting that feedback is the first place to start, so people can tell you, here's how I see you, here's how you're coming across to me. But knowing that your tendency to get into the work of other people, and here would be a very practical way also of gauging whether you're micromanaging or not. The kind of questions that your team brings your way. Okay? So if I'm having to bring to you, if you're my boss, and I'm bringing questions to you like, hey, can I do this? Or do you approve doing this? That might be an indication of micromanaging. Another way of saying micromanaging in the context of empowering is to actually say, as a leader, if I'm just delegating things, that's different than empowering. So when I delegate things, I'm still saying, I want to be involved, I want to be in it, I just need your help doing these tasks. So the questions that come back to you are questions that are still seeking your approval and your authority. When you empower, you actually divest yourself of that authority. Give it to someone else. Go, hey, that power is now yours, and I'm sort of stepping out of that. I still have some oversight and responsibility. The kind of questions that may come to you when you're an empowering leader is, hey, what's your heart on this, or what's the vision for this? 2 different kinds of questions that you can tell, if they're coming back and it's always having to come back to me, I might be a little bit more involved in this task or this job than I really want to be if I want to be an empowering leader.
Yeah. Another aspect of empowering is actually being committed to train the person in their role.
Right.
I'll send you someplace to get the training. I'll take the time in-house to actually do the training. I'm committed to your success.
Yeah. I think for leaders that I have seen who really exhibit empowering, the only way they're able to be an empowering leader is having the clarity of what I'm asking you to do, what your job is, but also having the right sort of time management. Don't confuse empowerment with abdication. In other words, I gave somebody a job and now I never talk to them again. I just expect them to do it. I've abdicated my role as an overseer. I should still be involved. So don't think, well, if I'm empowering, that means they just go do it and I check in every 3 months and see how they're doing. No, you just abdicated your job as a leader. You didn't really empower. So what the best empowering leaders that I've experienced are those who have given me the freedom, the clarity to do the job, but also have periodic and regular check-ins and a clarity to know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Again, I think about an empowering leader. One of the things I talk about is a question to ask people you oversee that you're wanting to empower. Question to ask yourself is, what do they know that I need to know? There are some things you need to know as their leader. And so identifying those things will help you know. But if you think, I got to know everything that they're doing, that's going to, by default, make you micromanaging.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing I think you're talking about is relational oversight. I've heard some people say, yeah, I just have an open door policy. If you can come anytime you want, my door's always open. No, it's not. And what I've found over the years, people who have that sort of oversight, managing of people. When they're needed, they're not available. When they're not needed, they are available and they feel good. I just have an open door policy. A regularly set routine schedule of check-in is extremely important. Even if you end up going, hey, let's just do a 10-minute stand-up here, and we can interact. I'm giving you an opportunity to give me any information or ask me any questions about what you're doing. Take whatever time you need, but have it regularly as a part of it.
I'm thinking, wrapped up in all this word came to my mind. So we think about these 4 areas of valuing people, praise, promotion, pay, and empowerment. If you think about what's wrapped up in my ability as a leader to do all of that, to value people, it's margin.
Oh, yes.
Whether I have margin in my own mental capacity to be able to think about you enough to know how to praise you or how to promote you, or I got the financial margin to know how to pay you.
Yep.
Or I have the margin to empower you in such a way that I'm not micromanaging, but I'm also still involved enough to support you in the way that you need. So the whole topic of margin, again, we've talked about that before, but recognizing if any of these ways of valuing people end up feeling like, man, I don't know how to overcome that hurdle. Maybe the place to start with is evaluating, do you have the right kind of margin in your time or in your finances that allow you as a leader to see your organization from a high enough place? You're overlooking it. You're seeing, you're not so in the weeds. You can't see the forest through all the trees, right? You're getting above it to be able to say, I see the organization, and the organization is made up of people. And when I create the margin in my own life to be able to see people, then I can appropriately value them.
As a managing leader, I totally agree with you. And one of the things that I think should be looked at is the organizational structure. Is your organization so flat that you have 10 people that are reporting to you?
Yeah.
And your margin is cut down because your day is made up with constantly people or things, and you have certain work responsibilities that are your own, so the people that report to you can't get to you when they need to. You may need to restructure and empower some people in the organization to take some of your oversights, so they, you report up. We historically have identified ourselves to say, generally speaking, 5 reports will be enough for you to provide relational oversight, 5 direct reports, relational oversight, but still give you margin to be able to do your own work and managing the people that are your direct reports.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, I'm thinking again about how important people are to God. And so, I don't know that as you're listening or watching today, you may have categorized your style of leadership as either I value people or I don't value people. I'm sure that's not how you have categorized yourself as a leader. Yet, my hope and prayer is that as we've talked, that God does some work in each of us to go, you know what? There is a way that I'm not valuing people as much as I should. Or, man, I'm really not valuing people. I've got I'm enlightened to that in a new way today. That's what our purpose is today, so that you see the children of God the way He does. And that in accomplishing the work that you're called to do, you don't see people as a means to the end, but you actually value them for the people they are and the work that they do. So, Dad, you want to pray us out on this topic?
I'd love to. Lord, thank you for our friends today. Thank you, Lord, for this topic that is so near and dear to your heart. You care for people, and we know that you want us as employers, as managers, to care for people as well. Lord, I just ask you to bless this and apply it as needed in every organization. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We'll see you next time.